Welcome to this explainer. Today we're taking a really deep, unflinching look into literally the quietest, most shadowy profession on Earth. Seriously, I want you to step into a completely different reality for a few minutes. Imagine you aren't sitting where you are right now. Instead, you're standing in a corridor with no corners, somewhere deep inside a building that absolutely does not appear on any map. You're in a country your passport says you've never even visited. This is the grim, totally unvarnished reality of deniable intelligence operations. You, my friend, are about to step into the life of a ghost. The cell has no corners, and the white fluorescent lights haven't flickered in 400 hours. Just think about that for a second. It sets this immediate, almost suffocating atmosphere, doesn't it? You're standing right outside cell 4B. Now, you aren't the prisoner, but as you listen to that heavy, chest-thumping steel door boom shut, the realization suddenly washes over you, you might be just as trapped as the person on the other side. Your life is about to become a series of deeply held secrets that will, eventually, erase the person you used to be.
Okay, let's dive into this. Level 1, the recruitment. You need to understand that as an elite military operator, we're talking Delta Force, SEAL Team 6, or a top-tier intelligence officer with 6 grueling combat tours under your belt, you do not just hop online and apply for this job. No way. They find you, and they find you right when you hit a ceiling. When the standard rules of engagement and all that congressional oversight start to feel less like a framework and more like handcuffs. So, how does it actually happen? Well, it brilliantly illustrates how fast your old life vanishes. The transition goes down in 3 specific steps. First, you're approached by a guy wearing a totally unremarkable dad bod suit. No name tag, no rank. He hands you a business card with nothing but a 10-digit phone number. He pitches you a role as a paramilitary officer for the Special Activities Center. Basically, you'll do what the military can't in places they literally aren't allowed to go. When you accept, bam, step 3, your old life ends. Your highly celebrated military records are completely sanitized. As far as your family is concerned, you've just taken a mind-numbingly boring desk job at a training command in Kansas.
Level 2, the farm. Obviously, that Kansas cover story is just hiding where you actually go. You head to Camp Perry, Virginia, which is this massive 9,000-acre stretch of highly restricted land. Now, keep in mind, at this point in your career, this training isn't about learning how to shoot. You're already at the absolute top of the pyramid for tactical skills. Instead, your time here is about learning a much darker, much more complex art. You're learning how to become completely invisible. This right here is your new curriculum. You endure surveillance detection routes. That means walking through cities for 8 solid hours with one singular focus, spotting a tail. You drill dead drops, you execute flawless brush passes, and you master covert asset communication, managing sources without ever once meeting them face to face. It's this crisp, highly clinical environment, and it's entirely designed to rewire your elite military mindset into the brain of an operative who functions completely undetected. Let's move along and see how this builds, because the core of your training actually culminates in a much more brutal timeline. This is interrogation resistance on steroids. At 0 hours, the ordeal begins. By 24 hours, you're dealing with severe sleep deprivation. Hit 48 hours, and you're enduring continuous, agonizing stress positions. And by 72 hours, they achieve their goal. A complete psychological breakdown. The reality you learn here is humbling and honestly terrifying. Everyone, no matter how elite they are, breaks eventually. The only goal of this training is just teaching you how to break slowly enough to buy your team time to change the locks. Level 3, the deployment. Once you survive the farm, you're ushered onto a ghost flight. This is an unmarked private jet with no insignia and a flight plan that officially does not exist. You land at your new home, which might be some decaying Soviet-era base or a repurposed, sweltering warehouse somewhere in North Africa. This is where you adopt a lifestyle of what the agency calls aggressive mediocrity. You grow a beard, you live in cargo pants, and you just blend into the dust. The contrast between your cover and your reality is totally stark. Your official cover says you're just an analyst working regular 9 to 5 office hours. The actual reality? You are an extractor. Your day kicks off at 2 a.m. because the darkness is pretty much your only friend. You sit in a dim, heavily air-conditioned room watching high-resolution feeds from NRO satellites, tracking the patterns of life of targets from 22,000 miles up in space. Level 4, the interrogation. This brings us to the heavy, claustrophobic core of your existence. This is where the job becomes incredibly taxing. You are no longer in a firefight. You're in a windowless room, engaging in the clinical, systematic deconstruction of a human being. Now, what's really interesting about this is how you actually do it. You rely on a specific framework known as MICE: money, ideology, compromise, and ego. You literally spend months developing a target. You learn their kids' names, you figure out exactly what they eat for breakfast, all just to exploit these 4 specific vulnerabilities. You are actively searching for the tiniest cracks in their mind that you can pry open to convince them to commit treason. It's super easy to misunderstand this whole process. The Hollywood myth paints these interrogators as angry, sadistic movie villains who just enjoy the pain. But the grounded reality is entirely different. You are a highly clinical professional, following the strict legal necessities of Title 50 covert actions. When enhanced methods are authorized, you have to completely compartmentalize what happens next. You compartmentalize the screams, not out of malice, but because if you didn't, you literally wouldn't be able to step out into the hallway and finish your black coffee afterward. Level 5, the personal cost. Naturally, that level of compartmentalization absolutely does not come for free. The psychological weight of what you do in the dark inevitably follows you into the light. You go home on rotation to see your family, but you aren't really there. You're physically present, sure, but entirely mentally absent. So, the crucial point is how this trauma manifests in specific, compounding ways. You find yourself flinching at sudden loud noises. You instinctively check the exits and sightlines in literally every restaurant you walk into. You have a total inability to sleep without the TV blaring to drown out the deafening silence of your own mind. That distance leads to a collapsing marriage because you can't tell your spouse why you were gone for 3 months. You're 38 years old, but your body feels like it's 60, held together by nothing more than cortisone shots and a relentless stream of caffeine. Level 6, the reckoning. All of this, unfortunately, leads to the inevitable end. There is no retirement party for a ghost. One day, the secure phone just stops ringing, or worse, you catch a round in the field that you didn't see coming. When that happens, your family doesn't get the truth. They get a check and a lie. They're told you died in a tragic training accident or from a sudden heart attack. Because of the very nature of your work, there's no flag-draped coffin for you. There's no solemn military funeral at Arlington National Cemetery. Your ultimate erasure is finalized by a single, blank star carved into a white marble wall at Langley. There is no name beneath it, no dates of birth or death. It is just a blank space on a wall representing a ghost who spent their entire life in the shadows hunting other ghosts. It's exactly how you planned it from the moment you took that business card, but it leaves us with a haunting realization. If your life is spent erasing the truth, who is left to remember you? The severe human cost of operating in the absolute darkest corners of our world is that the world will never, ever know your name. I really hope this explainer gave you a new lens to view the silent professionals operating